නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස ඒතං සන්තං ඒතං පනීතං යදිදං සබ්බ සංඛාර සමතෝ සබ්බෝපති පටිනිස්සග්ගෝ තණ්හක්ඛයෝ විරාගෝ නිරෝධෝ නිබ්බානං. This is peaceful, this is excellent, namely the stilling of all preparation, relinquishments of all assets, the destruction of craving, detachment, extinction, cessation. This is a particular statement preached by the Buddha pertaining to the Nibbana, describing the Nibbana. If one were to ask, what is Buddhism? The shortest answer that you can give is, Buddhism is Nibbana, and the Nibbana is Buddhism. There is no difference. So one might wonder why I say like that. Because, dear Dhamma friends, all the efforts that we take, all the pain that we endure in following the Buddhism has to be reached in the particular destination that is nothing but the Nibbana. Why should we need Nibbana? Because there is a suffering in this world. The world itself is located on suffering. Therefore, to get rid of Nibbana, to get rid of suffering, we need Nibbana. Stating that, I thought of preach some Dhamma pertaining to Nibbana, and especially focusing our attention towards what are the barriers to Nibbana, what are the difficulties we find in attaining the Nibbana. To start with, I would like to focus your attention, dear Dhamma friends, towards the meditation. Firstly, what is meditation? The best word in English for bhavana is not meditation, although we tend to use it. To my knowledge, the best word to the word bhavana, the best interpretation is mental culture, although we tend to use the other way. The mental culture is twofold according to the Buddha's Dhamma. What is that? What is this duality? What are these two? The first one is concentration meditation, to which we call samadhi bhavana or samatha bhavana. The second one is the insight meditation, to which we call vipassana bhavana. For both these meditation methods, for both these the two divisions of mental culture, there are obstructions, there are barriers, there are difficulties that we have to confront with. Today, we are going to talk about 5 kinds of such obstructions, such barriers. In Buddhism, in Buddhist terminology, we call them mental defilements, or in Pali, Nivarana. Since there are 5 Nivaranas, in Pali, we call them Pancha Nivarana. There are 5. Sometimes we tend to interpret these Nivarana as mental defilements, sometimes mental impurities. Defilements are something that always hinder, that always disturb us in attaining the Nibbana. So therefore, let us focus our attention to this Pancha Nivarana. Dhamma friends, as we find in the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha has preached these 5 Nivaranas in the Avarana Sutta. The name of the discourse is Avarana Sutta. In this particular Dhamma discourse, the Buddha preaches 5 kinds of defilements. What are they? Starting with Kamacchanda, Vyapada, Tīna Middha, Uddhacca Kukkucca, and Vicikicca. To give us simple interpretation to this Pancha Nivarana comes like this. Kamacchanda is sensual desire. Vyapada is ill will. Tīna Middha is sloth and torpor. Uddacha kukkucha is restlessness and worry. And finally, the vichikicha is the skeptical doubt. You might find it difficult to understand these Pali terms, but we can always paraphrase, we can always simplify them using our language knowledge. So let us focus our attention towards some simple interpretations of these 5 mental hindrances. Buddha says these 5 mental hindrances are always like obstructions, some barriers on the path to Nibbana. Therefore, the meditator or the yogi should always try to overcome these 5 mental hindrances. It is very important. Okay, firstly, let us consider what is Kama Chanda. According to the literal interpretation, the literal meaning of the word Kama Chanda, the Kama is sense objects. Chanda is desire. Very simply, then the Kama Chanda is the desire for sensual objects, sensual pleasures. What are the sensual pleasures that we come across? We know we have 5 doors in our body. What are they? Chakku, Sota, Gana, Jivha and Kaya. Chakku is eyes, Sota is ears, Gana is the nose, Jivha is your tongue, and the Kaya is your skin. From these 5 doors of senses, 5 sense doors, what do? We take objects, 5 different objects. What are they? From eyes we see visual objects or rupa. From ears we hear sounds. From nose we smell some good smell and bad smell. And from tongue we experience tastes. And also from skin we feel the tangible objects. So the Buddha says how this sensual desire emerge in our day-to-day activity. According to the Buddha's Dhamma, the main reason for the emergence of these mental defilements is ayoniso manasikara, to which we call unwise attention. Dhamma friends, you might wonder how seeing an object will fuel the emergence of the sensual desire. It happens like this. Buddha says in his preaching, when an individual sees an object and he examines that object using unwise attention, what happens is there emerges 4 types of pervasive thinking. We call it pervasive thinking or perverted thinking, to which we call in Pali vipallasa. There are 4 kinds of vipallasa. What are these vipallasas? The first one is an individual tend to observe some thing with suffering in the guise of pleasures. It means there are things which gives us suffering, but we tend to look at them as things which gives us pleasure. This is the first perverted way of thinking. Second one, this is sometimes, in other words, we tend to look at impermanent thing using the view of permanence. That means we look at impermanent things under the impression that they are permanent things. That is the first perverted way of thinking pertaining to the impermanence. Second one is, there are things which is of suffering, which has the nature of suffering, but we tend to look at them as if they are giving us pleasure. This is the second way of perverted thinking. Third one is, There are selfless objects in the world. The whole world is selfless, but we tend to think that the whole world, the entire world, is with a particular kind of indestructible thing, which is called self. This is called the self-view. This is the third type of perverted thinking. The fourth one is, there are things in this world which are repulsive, but how do we look at them? We look at them as if they were brilliant. They were giving us pleasure, not repulsive. They are of pleasant nature. So these four perverted ways of thinking, which are the opposite of the anicca, dukkha, anatta and the sukha. So these four perverted ways of thinking mixed with the help of this unwise attention, Dhamma friends, the Buddha says, there arises the kama chanda. There arises the mental defilement called kama chanda. There's a beautiful simile in the Buddha's teaching pertaining to the mind which is overwhelmed by this kama chanda. The Buddha says, the mind which is overwhelmed, which is covered by kama chanda, is like a bowl of water which contains some certain kind of coloring or a dye which turns its colorless nature to some colorful nature. So imagine, Dhamma friends, if one were to look at a bowl of water which is colored, in pursuit of looking his own reflection on the surface of this water, what happens? He would not observe the excellent, the expected reflection of his face, because that water is colored. Water is with different color, not the colorless nature. Just like that, similarly, Buddha says, the person's mind affected by the kama chanda is like a bowl of water which is full of color. So likewise, Dhamma friends, the Buddha says there could be different things, different points that you can take the help of to get rid of this kama chanda. What are they? The first thing is, the yogi or the practitioner can contemplate on the asubha, the repulsive nature of things, especially in the mindfulness meditation, to which we call pilikul bhavana or patikula manasikara, repulsiveness meditation or the foulness meditation. And also we can have Dhamma discussions on this foulness, how to contemplate on the foulness. And also, noble friendship is another important fact if you really want to overcome the kama chanda. And secondly, you can have some good conversation with others. Dhamma friends, when I mean the good conversation, so I would like to relate a small story with you. This goes to the time of the Buddha. In the advent of the Buddha, when he wanted to preach Dhamma, especially the Satipatthana Sutta, the discourse which includes the four foundations of meditation, four foundations of contemplation, to which we call Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha didn't preach that sutta to an average people, to an average village. No. He specially selected a particular village where it was believed to have lived some certain group of people who are very faithful, who are very intelligent. The name of that village is Kammasa Dhamma. The name is Kammasa Dhamma, which was located at Kuru country, the country named Kuru in India. In Pali we call Kammasa Dhamma Niyamgama, located at Kuru, the country of Kuru. What is the special thing about this village, Dhamma friends? The speciality is, the people in this particular village are very intelligent. They never waste time talking frivolous talks. And for an instance, the canonical literature tells us how their behavior is. For an instance, when two people meet at the well to fetch water, to their houses. What do? When two people meet in that particular village, they talk about something very useful. For instance, the discourse says, one would ask, friend, what is the type of meditation you are practicing these days? One would ask from the other. And the other would reply, Dhamma friend, these days I am contemplating on the repulsiveness meditation, patikkola manasikara. Then the first person would say, excellent Dhamma friend, very well, sadhu, sadhu. It was an excellent thing to hear. I am also doing a particular kind of meditation. Likewise, when Dhamma friends, they are talking something beneficial to them. They are talking in Dhamma. They are very intelligent. And also this sutta says, when one person of this village meets another one from another village, the same person would ask, Dhamma friends, what is the meditation method that you are following these days? Then he would say, I am sorry, I am not following any meditation method to this date. Then that first person would say, from that very important village, he would say, it is very unbecoming of you. You should be ashamed of yourself to have not followed any kind of meditation in the advent of the Buddha. And he will insult that person, not in a bad intention, but purely to take that person towards the Dhamma path. Likewise, Dhamma friends, this eradication of the Kama Chanda is very important. So we talked about the Kama Chanda or the sensual desire first. And secondly, the second mental defilement is Vyapada. In English we call it ill will. Ill will is a particular kind of mental impurity which arouses anger, which arouses the animosity, which arouses the hostility towards others. What is the reason for this ill will, Dhamma friends? The Buddha says it is again the unwise attention. The ayoniso manasikara we apply to the repulsive objects. The very nature of this ill will is, Dhamma friends, they always make some quarrels, they always make some clashes between groups of people. And that kind of nature. For an instance, the Buddha gives a simile to describe this mental defilement like this. He says, a mind which is filled with mental defilement called ill will or vyapada is like a bowl of water which is bubbling and boiling. So this bubbling and boiling is, imagine that there is a bowl which is on fire and which is giving up bubbles and which is boiling. What do you think, Dhamma friends? If you were to look at on the surface of this boiling water, a bowl of boiling water, will you be able to observe the reflection of your face in the proper way? I don't think so. Because the surface of the water pot is boiling. Similarly, a person's mind affected by this mental defilement called vyapada or the ill will is like that. He will not be able to concentrate his mind to one particular mental object or any object. Therefore, a person affected with this ill will not be able to continue his concentration meditation. So needless to say about the vipassana or the insight meditation, Dhamma friends. Therefore, not only that the Buddha describes the nature of this mental defilement vyapada or the ill will, but also he tells us how to overcome, what are the ways and means to overcome this mental defilement which we call vyapada. The first thing is, a person affected with vyapada should practice the metta bhavana, the loving kindness meditation. And also, he should focus further attention to develop this metta bhavana, and to spread this Dhamma, spread this loving kindness to the entire world without restricting it to oneself. And also he should read some Buddhist books, Buddhist texts, and he should also have companionship, the noble companionship, to which we call Kalyana Mittata. And also he should he should take part in Dhamma discussions. Having done so he might be able to overcome this ill will. Venerable monks and also the Lord Buddha has preached the importance of this eradication of this mental defilement called Vyapada, using some special terms. Dhamma friends, just imagine when you are angry with somebody, doesn't it give you much pain than to the being the perpetrator and to the being perpetrated? I mean that when you are angry with somebody, don't you feel a pain within? Don't you feel like something keep boiling within you? And won't it give you some sense of pain within you, inside your body? The Buddha says, if you are angry with somebody, for an instance, it's like you are getting hold of some burning charcoal or burning rod of iron first. That means, Dhamma friends, imagine that you want to hit another person with some burning charcoal, burning coal. Before hitting that person, before throwing it at that person, what you have to do first is, you have to get them to your hand. When you are taking them to your hand, first you will have to undergo the pain of burning. Similarly, if you are angry with somebody, first you have to suffer. After that only the other person, the third party or the other person have to suffer. Therefore, Dhamma friends, once I heard there was an author who wrote in one of his books like this: getting angry with another is like this. It's like you are drinking poison under impression that the other person would die. What does that mean? Getting angry is like this. You are the one who is drinking the poison, but you expect that other one would die. But it never happens, Dhamma friends. Therefore, when you are getting angry with somebody, you have to use your wise attention, to which we call yoniso manasikara. You have to take a break and think, this getting angry with another, will it remain beneficial to me? Or will it remain beneficial to others? And will it remain beneficial to both? But it never gives any benefit to any. Therefore, Dhamma friends, the best thing is we have to try hard. We have to try our level best to eradicate this mental defilement called Vyapada. So far, we have discussed two mental defilements. What are they? Kamachanda and Vyapada. Third one is this. Starting with Kamachanda, second one is Vyapada, third one is Uddacha Kukkuccha. Right? Uddacha Kukkuccha, when you translate this into English, is restlessness and worry. Restlessness and worry. Uddacha is restlessness. It is like this. Uddacha is a particular mental state which gives you the feeling of some distraction. When you are affected with Uddacha, your mind is always distracted. You cannot focus your attention to anything. It's like Buddha gives an example to denote this Uddacha and Kukkuccha. And also, the Kukkuccha, in very simple terms, is like repenting over the things you have done, the unwholesome things you have done, and the repenting over the wholesome things that you have not done. To understand the nature of the Kukkuccha, very simply, Let me tell you a Sinhalese quotation from Sinhalese verse in Buddhist literature. It goes like this, Dhamma friends. Kala nokala udesa pasutavili vanu kukusa. What does that mean? Here the Sinhala word kukusa is kukkucha. Kala nokala udesa, the things that you have done and you have not done. Pasutavili vanu. Pasutavili vanu means repenting over. Therefore, you can define the word kukkucha as repenting upon the things that you have done which is unwholesome, and the things that you have not done which are wholesome. Therefore, putting these two things together, but you might wonder, these two things are a bit of different things, but we are preaching, we are telling them come as a combination. Why is that? Because, Dhamma friends, the Buddha says these two things, they tend to arise together. That is why we are preaching them together. Uddacha and kukkucha. The Buddha says a mind affected by uddacha and kukkucha is like a ball of water which is disturbed by the wind, which is stirred by the wind, which is affected by the wind, and you can see the ripples on the surface of the water. Therefore, for such a mind, Dhamma friends, the concentration meditation will not be a success. Therefore, for a disturbed mind like this, the Buddha says there can be ways and means to overcome this uddacha kukkucha. What is this? What are the things that we can follow to overcome this uddacha kukkucha? So Buddha says, you can always refer to the Buddha's texts. You can read the Dhamma. And also you can associate with some good friends who are leading a very calm and quiet life, especially the Buddhist monks. And some yogis that they are following, they are taking their endeavor to get rid of this uddacha kukkucha. And also you can have the benefit of noble friendship always. And also you can have some Dhamma discussions pertaining to uddacha kukkucha. Therefore, Dhamma friends, if you are affected with this particular mental defilement called uddacha kukkucha, it is a barrier to your path to freedom, to path to liberation. And with that, you can't develop your concentration meditation. With that, you can't develop your vipassana meditation either. So far, now we have discussed 3 mental defilements, Dhamma friends. Now let us focus our attention towards to which we call sloth and torpor, or the tīna middha. In this particular combination of the words, the complex term, Dhamma friends, have a special meaning. Tīna and middha. Tīna is sloth and middha is torpor. How the Buddha has defined the word sloth or the tīna is the sluggishness, is the laziness, is the inactivity of your mind. And the torpor, on the contrary, is the sluggishness or the heaviness of your body. So, if you are affected with these two things, especially a meditator. Okay, imagine, Dhamma friends, if you are a meditator who are new to the field, if you have just started your meditation, you will be affected by this sloth and torpor very often. Why? Especially after meals, you will feel like, your mind would feel like a bit sluggish, a bit lazy. So the mind is not encouraging you to continue with your meditation. And also your body, especially after meals, you will feel like that my body is a bit heavy. It's not malleable. Your mind is not malleable. Your mind is not wieldy. Your body is not flexible. It is like rigid, coarse, and it is a bit heavy, hard to control. With such a feeling, with such a confrontation of these defilements, Dhamma friends, you will find it difficult to overcome these barriers and continue with your meditation. For such a thing, Dhamma friends, the Buddha gives us some noble advice. What is that? If you are affected by this mental defilement, Dhamma friends, there's a set of advice given by the Buddha. Let me tell you a small piece of story related to the noble disciple, the Moggallana, the Venerable Moggallana. In Buddha's time, when Venerable Moggallana, once he was meditating in a very solitary place, probably before the attainment of the emancipation. So once he was meditating just after his meal, he became a victim of this mental defilement because the sluggishness came into being within him. The laziness, the boredom, the heaviness of the body, all of them were there. Then the Buddha noticed how his disciple, this Venerable Moggallana, was affected, was a victim of this mental defilement. And he appeared in front of this Venerable Moggallana and he said, Moggallana, if you are in such a state, you can follow my instruction and you can follow my instruction to overcome this defilement. What is my instruction? If you are affected with this sluggishness or the sloth and torpor, thina middha, while focusing your attention to a meditation object, you have to get rid of that meditation object which gave you that unpleasant experience. Then what you should do, if still that particular thought is there to hinder you with this thought of sloth and torpor, the thina middha, then what you have to do is, you have to change the posture. You have to change the way of sitting and see whether you can overcome that. If that is also not successful, what you have to do, Venerable Moggallana, is this. Then you can stand up and wash your face with some water and look around to kill the monotony. Then still that sluggishness and the boredom is coming after you to give you some unpleasant experience. Then what you should do is, you can walk up and down to some time, and you can also think about something else which is Dhammic, which is related to Dhamma, or you can recall my Dhamma as another option, and you can read aloud what you have learned from me. And trying all these methods, if they are still not successful, Moggallana, you can take your palm and you can rub it against your ears, and it will give you some comfort to get rid of this mental defilement. But still it becomes not successful, Moggallana. Then there's no other option. You have to recline, taking the right side of your body for some time, but keeping in your mind that I have to wake up at that particular time. It is called sleeping in the Singhasaya. In the Pali we call the lion's posture, right? So these are the instructions of the Buddha. The last option is given at the last. Okay, in this way, Dhamma friends, so we can get rid of the sloth and torpor. The Buddha says, as an simile, using an simile, a person's mind which is affected with sloth and torpor is like a bowl of water which is full of moss, which is full of plants in the outer surface. So in such a bowl of water, one cannot look at his face, look at his reflection of his face, and he will not see a clear image of his face. Therefore, we can see that it is another hindrance to the path of Nibbana. And lastly, Dhamma friends, the fifth mental defilement is Vicikiccha, to which we call in English the skeptical doubt. When I say Vicikiccha, the doubt is always not bad. There are good types of doubt, Dhamma friends, and there are negative types of doubts. So what are the good types of doubts, to which we call inquiring doubt? That is, Dhamma friends, a positive kind of doubt is this. when we are learning Dhamma, sometimes we don't understand them right away. Then what do we have to do? So we have to question the Dhamma. We have to question from the learned Buddhist monks and the people who have a good knowledge of Buddhism, purely to clarify the Dhamma points, not to prove that you are intelligent and others are not, right? But still, these doubts are very useful in such occasion. I'll tell you a small story on that. Once in the Kalama Sutta, the Buddha relates a story. Once there are a group of people called Kalamas. They were very rich group of people. Once they came to the Buddha and said to the Buddha, Venerable Sir, there are religious teachers who always tend to visit us, and they tend to tell us their views, their teachings. Some are good and some are bad. Some are believable and some are unbelievable. Then we are in a particular ambiguity, Venerable Master. We have no idea what to believe and what not to believe. Then the Buddha says, the doubt that you have come across is very useful. The Pali term goes as Ma paramparaya, ma itikiraya, ma pitaka sampadhanena, ma babbarupataya, ma dittinijjanakatya. The English translation goes like this. Then Buddha says to these Kalamas, Kalamas, don't go by hearsay, don't go by tradition, don't go by what has been handed down from olden times, don't go by text. But when you yourselves understand this is good, this is meritorious, this is beneficial, then you have to follow it by yourself. Not be merely that I teach you. Don't believe this because I am preaching this to you. You have that independence. You have that freedom in your mind. You have to believe after realizing it. So this kind of doubt is, Dhamma friends, is very useful. So what is the destructive part of this doubt? When you are doubtful about the Buddha, when you are doubtful about the Dhamma, when you are doubtful about the Sangha, the noble qualities of this triple gem, it's very dangerous. It is not beneficial to you. It will not remain beneficial to you. Because why? Because having doubts of this triple gem, or this noble triple gem, you will not be able to follow the noble path towards the Nibbana. And also, Dhamma friends, there are some destructive kind of doubts, especially towards the, if you are a meditator, if you have certain doubts about the teachings of your meditation teacher, the teachings of the theories he preaches to you, the things he teaches to you, that is also very destructive. So if we want to overcome this doubt, the negative type of doubt, what should we do according to the Buddha's teaching, Dhamma friends? So when we want to overcome this mental defilement, we can always question from the teachers, meditation teachers or the other Dhamma teachers, purely to clarify some Dhamma points, not to make debates with you, not to just argue with them, but for your own benefit, to clarify some Dhamma points. And also you can read some Buddhist scriptures. And also, as I always tell you, the noble companionship is very important. Once Venerable Ananda asked from the Buddha, he told the Buddha, Bhante, this particular thought comes to my mind. The entire Buddha Sasana or the entire dispensation of Buddhism, it is based on, it is situated at where? The half of the Buddha Sasana is based, it has its foundation as the noble friendship. Then the Buddha says to Venerable Ananda, Ananda, never say like that. It is wrong. Not half of the Buddha Sasana, but the entire Buddha Sasana is based on the noble friendship. So that much this noble friendship, the quality of having associated the noble friends is very important in this path to liberation, Dhamma friends. Therefore, when we want to overcome this particular mental defilement, you have to have some good friends, some Kalyana Mittas. Then we enumerated these 5 mental defilements and the ways to overcome them. To have a recap, let me tell you very briefly. First one is Kamachanda, to which we call sensual desire. And second is Vyapada, or ill will. The third one is Uddacha Kukkucha, then the restlessness and worry, and also the sloth and torpor, to which we call tina middha, and lastly the vichikicha, the skeptical doubt. These 5 mental hindrances, Dhamma friends, especially pertaining to the meditation, they are very unhelpful. They will not remain beneficial to the path of Nibbana, especially if you are a meditator of the mindfulness meditation. With these 5 hindrances, you will not reap the expected results. Because in a concentration meditation, we try to concentrate our mind, we try to sharpen the one-pointedness of our mind to a certain extent. And once it is developed to that certain extent, then we convert, then we turn towards the vipassana, the insight meditation, which is nothing but contemplation, having the analysis of the 3 characteristics of existence, to which we call Trilakshana. What is the first one? The anicca, the impermanence. The second, dukkha, the unsatisfactoriness. And the third, anatta, the soullessness or not self. So this is the anatomy of the Buddhist meditation. These are the components, these are the valuable components of Buddhist meditation which will take you to Nibbana. Having said that, Dhamma friends, so I thought of discuss with you, to share with you some important fact, especially towards the meritorious deeds that we do. What are the particular ways of behavior that you exhibit in the society, especially being Buddhist, in performing some meritorious deeds? For an example, when you are going to the temple, are you following the particular order that you should follow? If you are a Buddhist, are you following the particular behavior which is expected from a Buddhist within a temple? Being adults, being the learned people, being matured people, do you give a good example to your children, your younger generation? You have to ask from yourself. When we are performing meritorious deeds, Dhamma friends, in our society, we see that there are some misbehaviors, there are some weaknesses, there are some loopholes in your behavior. The way you behave is not in accordance with the Dhamma. So when we inquire the very reason for that, what I feel is, Dhamma friends, that you lack the proper faith, you lack the proper saddha towards the triple gem, towards the Buddha, towards the Dhamma, and towards the Sangha. So let us discuss very briefly, first of all, what is saddha, what is faith? In some other religions, Dhamma friends, you might have heard the word bhakti, particular devotion, particular kind of feeling, the particular respect towards their teachers of Dhamma, sometimes mostly out of fear, not out of gratitude, not out of understanding. But in Buddhism, this saddha should always come with the understanding, should always come with the proper knowledge of the triple gem, not without that. So I will teach you a very simple method to inculcate the saddha within you. Okay, let's start with this. You, the most beneficial people, the most supportive people to you in this world, Dhamma friends, is nobody but your parents. Your mother and father. Your mother and father are the people who have nurtured and nourished up to this point. And they are the people who looked after you from the very childhood to today's date. And they are the people who gave you good education. And they are the people who made you some supportive people, some beneficial people to the society. The support that they have extended is innumerable. You can't just imagine the size of that, the particular extent of that support that you have received. So, but still, Dhamma friends, I'm asking you a question. Can they stop you from being, can they stop your death? Can they stop your decaying of your body? Can they stop your aging? Can they stop you become diseased, you become affected by diseases? Very simply, Jara, Marana, Roga, Vyadi, all these sufferings, can they still help you to get rid of these things? No, Dhamma friends. If they can't get rid of you from the death, if they can't stop you from aging, if they can't help you to face the being affected by the diseases, if they still can't help you decaying your body, so what is there any other solution we can resort to? Dhamma friends, the only person, the only teaching, the only group of people who can help you to get rid of all these extremely painful, extremely disastrous 4 things in the world. What are they? Birth, decay, disease and death is nothing but the Buddha. In that sense, you can have saddha towards the Buddha. Not merely that I am teaching you to have saddha. Not merely that somebody else is teaching you that you should have developed the saddha. So if you have developed the saddha the way I told you, this saddha will not be disturbed by any outward pressure. But any outward powerful power, it will not be shaken, it will not be disturbed. It will remain unshaken to the end of your life. So being the honor of such a saddha, Dhamma friends, then you will automatically, you will merely without any support, you will start behaving the way it should be behaved. You will start behaving the way you should be done, especially in meritorious deeds. For a simple example, when you are worshipping the Buddha, do we follow the correct way? Do we have the hands clasped like this and putting it in front of your forehead and do it respectfully? No. Sometimes we are doing it very carelessly. And do we follow the dress code that you should follow when you are going to the temple? When you are hearing Dhamma, when you are listening to Dhamma, do you follow the exact way which is advised, which is advocated by the Buddha, or the Dhamma which is written in the Dhamma or advised by the Sangha? No, we are not. Most of us are not doing that way. Therefore, Dhamma friends, you don't have to worry about any other thing. Just develop the saddha, just develop the faith the way I told you. Then it will be automatically, without any other effort, it will guide you to follow the very expected way taught in the Buddhism, especially when you are doing the meritorious deeds. You being the adults, set a good example to your younger generation. Then they will follow your footsteps. Then they will take example. They will the example you have set, they will take it and they will follow your footpath. Then it will necessarily make the entire Buddhist society a meritorious society. Then no one should be there to pinpoint. Then no one should be there to instruct. You have to behave this way time to time. No, Dhamma friends. Then it will if you have developed the proper saddha, all the steps of the other steps of the path to Nibbana, they come to you then and there, and you are going on the path without any much effort. Having said that, Dhamma friends, these things you should focus your attention. These things should be taught to others, not that keeping it within you. When you are listening to Dhamma, always listen to them with the mindset that I will teach this Dhamma to somebody else. I will teach this Dhamma to my children. I will teach this Dhamma to my friends. This is the noble friendship. This is the noble companionship, the Kalyana Mittata taught in Buddhism. Having said that, Dhamma friends, so we have already discussed what are the mental defilements, what are the mental impurities, and how to get rid of them. If you are a true follower of the Dhamma, if you are a proper meditator, if you are the committed meditator as expected by the Buddha, and also have preached you how to develop proper faith, and having developed that faith, how you can behave in the proper way. These things should be well understood. These things should be well established in your life, and not merely as teachings that you have heard, but also the practices that you are doing in this very world. Having said that, Dhamma friends, I think it's time to conclude our Dhamma Desana or Dhamma sermon. So, once the Buddha told his disciples a very important thing. Venerable monks and my devotees, I preach only two things to this world. What is that? First is, I teach suffering. I teach the nature of the suffering. What is the very nature? What is the exact nature of suffering? And the second thing I teach you is the way you should follow to get rid of suffering. The Buddhas are only the people, noble people who guide the others. They can't deliver, they can't take you physically towards the Nibbana, because there's no such place called Nibbana. Buddhas are only the showers, they are the only people who show you the path. It's your duty to go on that path, to go follow the path towards the Nibbana. So, Buddha is by no means a redeemer like other religious teachers. Therefore, having said that, you have to remember the Buddhism is all about suffering and getting rid of the suffering. As I told you, if somebody asks from you one fine day, what is Buddhism? Tell them Buddhism is nothing but Nibbana. If somebody asks from you what is Nibbana, then you can tell them Nibbana is all about Buddhism. So, having said that, let us conclude our Dhamma sermon with this remark, and make sure that you remember the Dhamma we discussed, and make sure that you teach these things to one of your noble friends. Then this mutual transmission of the Dhamma will be of mutual benefit to all the people. May the noble Triple Gem bless you. So it is my duty to remind you what are the sponsors, who are the sponsors who take part, who help to conduct this Dhamma sermon. So let us transfer merit to the people who have sponsored this Dhamma preaching. So they should be delighted having heard a Dhamma preaching like this. So as we know, this Dhamma sermon is sponsored by a noble friend, to which called Kalyana Mitta, who wishes to bless Miss Shamila Panditaratna good health, wealth, happiness and longevity for her birthday, which fell on 21st of October. So this it is also very important to do a meritorious deed like this at their birthday. Apart from that, the devotee who have sponsored also would like to transfer merits of this skillful deed to Kusala Kamma for the well-being of all those who passed away, and especially to her beloved deceased parents, Mr. Lakshman Panditaratna and Mrs. Nandani Panditaratna, and to all living Dhamma friends. This is also a good thing to remember. We are reciprocating the good things that they have done towards their parents. So with that, lastly, they would like to pay their gratitude in their very words. They wish supreme bliss of Nibbana to the Venerable Thero, who so kindly delivered this valuable Dhamma sermon, and they wish the preacher of the Dhamma, Venerable Bhikkhu, attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. So having said that, we also transfer our merit towards all the listeners of the Dhamma, and those who have listened this Dhamma sermon very calmly and quietly, paying their full attentions towards the Dhamma. So therefore, all the merits that we have accrued after listening to this Dhamma, let us transfer these merits to all the deities of this world system, and may them be benefited from this skillful deed, and they will attain the Nibbana they wish for. And also, we would like to transfer all these merits to all the deceased relatives of ours, especially the war heroes who have sacrificed their life towards the sovereignty and integrity of this country. And also these meritorious deeds that we have accrued will remain beneficial to all the living beings, include us. And let us have longevity, the good health and long life as a result of hearing this noble Dhamma of the Buddha. May the noble triple gem bless you. Idamme jnati nang hotu sukita hontu jnatayo. Idamme jnati nang hotu sukita hontu jnatayo. Idamme jnati nang hotu sukita hontu jnatayo. Akasattha cha bhummatta deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu sasanang. Akasattha cha bhummatta deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu desanang. Akasattha cha bhummatta deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu tvang sada. May the noble triple gem bless you.
This Dhamma sermon is sponsored by a noble friend who wishes to bless Miss Shamila Panditaratna good health, wealth, happiness and longevity for her birthday, which fell on the 21st of October. The sponsor would also like to transfer merits of this skillful deed for the well-being of all those who passed away, and especially to her beloved deceased parents, Mr. Lakshman Panditaratna and Mrs. Nandini Panditaratna, and to all living Dhamma friends. May the Honorable Thera, who so kindly delivered this invaluable sermon, attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana.